When you live in a small town, everyone knows where you've been and what you have done. I've been trying to leave this old town since
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. I'm Zeta.
And I'm Kelly, and you're listening to
Two Sides and the Truth.
All right, it's time to catch up. So I've had a few things happen. First thing is this is the last week of school. This has been the last week of school.
Amen.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
These kids are feral. They're just, oh my gosh. It's
As
bad.
a mom, I recognize that, and I want for y'all to have a break. Do you get a break? No.
Yeah, I get a little bit of one, but really
Their mindset changes.
We still have we have to transition, and we have to take down all the decorations and redecorate for summer and go through and deep clean and reorganize. So there's a lot, but honestly, it's not so bad when you get to focus on that and you don't have the kids coming in and the planning that you have to do every day.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we're getting a break. And also, we're supposed to have them one more day for their actual last day of school, but we're not going to have water. The city's turning off our water and it's only going to be for a few hours, but technically through licensing, if you don't have water, you can't have the kids there. So that was a blessing in disguise. So we're actually not going to have them. So we get one extra day. So I'm really happy about that.
What happens to the parents? It's like, oh, you don't have a
a
lot of them probably take off anyways.
They're just going to have to. Yeah, they're going to have to pick up their kids or schedule someone to come pick them up because we can't bring them to the club because they're not going to be able to get water or use the restroom or anything like that.
Yeah.
So. Sorry. We get to start early.
Right. Well, happy summer to you.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And another thing that's been really funny is, so in Frost, everybody.
That's where Kelly lives.
That's where I live. Everybody has a stray cat that lives around their house. Cause we got cats everywhere.
Yeah.
Honestly.
The distribution system is strong.
It really is. And there's some people who take them in. We're not those people.
I'm those people.
We just let them do their thing. It's survival of the fittest. It's the circle of life. And if you survive, you survive. If you don't, sorry.
But please tell me you found a cat that you love.
No. But okay, so we have our house cats that pretty much they stay in our.
They live in your yard.
That's their territory.
Yeah.
And you'll hear them every now and then fighting off other cats and stuff like that. So we've had a couple of different generations though. And we have a new generation now. One of the mama cats that was a baby from the previous litter that stayed at our house, and she has had kittens. And so we've kind of been watching them because they just live underneath the house and they'll come out underneath the porch. And so we've kind of been watching them grow up. I think we're 4 or 5. And they've got to the point where their mom isn't around very much anymore because she's weaning them.
Yeah.
But they're still hanging out underneath the house. And the other day we heard Dante saw one of the male cats that isn't one from around us that came up, and they were he was fighting with the baby kitties.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my gosh, no. It's I know, but they're baby kitties. I don't want them to get hurt.
That's how it starts.
I know, but Dante's still babe, we can't do anything about it,
Circle of life.
Circle of life. And I was like, I know. And so, but the mom wasn't there. And so I went out. So he had his son go out and run off the cat, with a little BB gun. I was like, tell Jacobs to go get his BB gun. So he went in there and ran off the cat. But it was so funny because we have these birds that's in our trees as well. And the daddy bird and the mama bird were chasing off the cat.
Oh.
And so, he was swooping and trying to, and ran him off all the way across the street. He was not giving up. And it was so funny because they have baby birds in their trees. And so he was trying to mess with the birds.
They thought
And so that daddy bird was not having it. And it was the funniest thing to watch this bird attacking this cat and running this cat
I told
off.
you my bird story last week, right?
Did you?
Did I tell you the story about the birds?
I don't know if you did or not. You know me. My memory's as bad as yours is.
We're going to repeat his bird story? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, whatever.
I didn't tell you about the birds that Rick was talking to and took a picture? I don't think you're right. This was after we recorded. Okay, continue.
Okay. So, anyway, so after that happened, me and Dante sat out for a while and were watching to see if any of the babies would come out. And I only saw one that came out. And I was looking around, walking around. I was like, if this is the only one that's left, I'm really going to be sad. Because there was like 4 or 5 of them. But then like I saw another one, yesterday. So at least we have 2 more. And I told him, I was like, you're going to have to go and look underneath the house though, to make sure that you don't have dead ones underneath there. Because it's just going to start stinking and that's not going to be good. So he's going to go investigate to see if there's anything under there or if they just got ran off or taken. So
you don't know yet?
I don't know yet. So I know we have 2 survivors.
We had 2 kittens under my house, my old house, that we were feeding, and I was trying to find a home for them. I actively was looking because I could occasionally touch them. And dog got them.
Oh, that's sad. So I'd put out some food for a while, and they came out, and because I was like, do you think it'll let me touch them? And Dante was like, I do not think so. Like we've never been able to catch or touch these cats
like that.
But we put out food, and they came out. I put out some ham, and so they came out to a while, and so like I kind of scooted over and started petting one, but he was just like,
those are my favorite. I like them when they're spicy.
He was so mad. He's like, don't you touch my ham.
They start making that it's not even a hiss. It's
yeah. Well, he had a ham in his mouth, so he was like, "Don't you touch my ham." It was so funny. It was so cute. But I got to pet him a little bit. But he was definitely a spicy cat. So I was like, okay.
I like the spicy
And then
ones.
I had left them some milk that day, like after they got attacked that night. That next morning when I saw 2 of them, I left them a little milk. And then Dante was like, don't feed them anymore. Then they're going to stop hunting. And I was like, I know, but I just felt bad. They just got attacked and their mom's not here. I know, I won't give them any more, but I just wanted to help them out a little bit. Okay. I felt bad.
Dante.
He's like, that's how it starts.
We've been talking to Rick. He's the same way, but you know what? He sees a puppy. I promise you, he'll feed a fucking puppy.
Right. Well, see, I'm quicker with cats the same way. Like, I don't really like cats or dogs. I'm not an animal person, but dogs get on my nerves more because they're always
like
nipping.
men.
They're always biting.
They want you to pet them.
They're always jumping up on you. Cats will just be like, "Fuck you." They'll just do their own
thing.
thing.
Like women.
And that's why I'm like, okay, I can coexist with a cat.
Yeah, because cats are like, fuck you till I want you. Dogs, you touch them, they're like, for life, I need you to pet me.
I know.
So I don't like that kind of commitment.
I know. I mean, I can't do it either.
I like
but
it when you're like independent.
I like our little feral cats that just stay outside. They keep all the mice and the snakes and everything away. Yeah. And because we never see any kind of mice, any kind of snake. None of that. Nothing. And I can deal with that, because they take care of themselves. They mind their own business. Yeah. I'm fine with that.
You just got to leave an empty board so they can get under the house for warmth or cooling, whatever.
Yeah. They get in and out underneath the house and they take care of themselves.
So what are we naming them? No kidding.
I do not know yet. We haven't got to that point. We're gonna see if they actually survive and see how many we're left with.
Right.
My next thing is, I've talked about this before about how me and Dante have been going on walks every day after I get off of work, and he gets off of work, we get home, and I go for a walk with him. And that has become like literally one of my favorite things that I've been doing. First of all, it's just good for your health, and it's good for your mental health, going outside and walking around. And it's been really good for our relationship too, because we get that bit of extra time together.
Zoe and I have been doing the same thing.
Really?
Yes.
It's so good. So I very much suggest, if you don't do a daily walk, start, because it's really good for you. And I've noticed that I sleep a lot better. I don't have, it just oils up your joints. You don't know how good of a thing, and it's just walking. You don't run or jog. But also
you're talking.
Yeah.
So we spend the time talking and visiting and whatever. And sometimes, the other kids join us, but we always do it together. And we also steal the neighbor's fruit. It's like a bonding moment of theft.
It's the best
But
thing.
there's some really good blackberries on this trail and a kumquat tree.
Yeah.
And so Zoe's just waiting for the kumquat tree to fully develop.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this. This is bonding, but I did not know this until we noticed this kumquat tree. And Zoe told me that when we lived in Houston and she was a kid, her and her friend, when they would go for walks at night, there was a kumquat tree and they would pick them and they would eat them all the time. And it's one of her favorite memories.
Aww.
I didn't even know that. I never knew, and now I know.
That's
because
sweet.
of walks.
I like it.
Yeah.
And
Zoe's 26. And
that got me thinking about just simple things that you can do with anybody. like any significant other, anybody in your life,
A coworker on a break.
that you want to be able to just like have that healthy moment and build a relationship. And it's very low key and low stress, and it's just really good. So I
that's a good way to
that.
build a good friendship with a woman too.
It really
like if you're trying to find a girlfriend that's like a best friend, like you need a girl, that's time to talk.
It is, and it's good for your body, and it's good for your mind.
You can judge people's houses,
all kinds of stuff.
They might have their windows open. It's my favorite part. I want to see. Right? I live in Waxahachie. I live in the middle of the historic district. I want to see your house.
You're
I'm just being honest.
Yeah, very honest.
Speaking of that, Amy from the podcast with Al and I, Al's wife, Amy, we are going to be, we volunteered for the gingerbread trail next thing. So in Waxahachie, we have a thing twice a year, Christmas and this time of year, where people can come and tour these historic homes in Waxahachie. And we got talked into volunteering by, City Councilman Wright and his wife. And
my favorite people.
They are, though.
So great.
Who doesn't love Chris Wright and his wife, Amy? And so Amy and Chris kind of low key. They didn't really talk me into it. It didn't take much. And because they're awesome. Like, who doesn't want to see these homes?
Yeah.
And so Amy Wright, Amy Mack, and I will be volunteering at one of the homes together, June 1st.
So what will y'all be doing?
I don't know, pointing.
Just greeting and pointing.
I think they're going to give us history of the house, and we might talk about the room we're in.
Yeah.
We're all in the same home, because I said I'll only do it if I can be in the same home.
Yeah.
And they said, okay. So, So I don't know yet, but I'm kind of excited about it.
Well, you let me know, because I'm definitely going to come.
Okay. I'll let you know which house it is. When I know. Next week, I think I'll know which house by next week.
Okay, sweet.
Okay, because it is like the week after that.
And
it's next week. Shit, I should know by next week. It's next week. It's next weekend, the weekend after this one.
You better get your ducks in a row.
I better get it. I'll post it, y'all. Follow me. But, yeah.
Another thing is I finally got my winter wardrobe and my summer wardrobe switched out. So that's a big feat.
I did that 2 weeks ago, and it is life-changing.
It's a lot to do. And I was telling my sister about it, and she was like, oh, that's interesting. I just wear the same thing all year long. She's like, I wear the same scrubs and T-shirt all year long, so I don't have to do that. I was like, well, that's smart.
Well, she has children.
Yeah, no, that's true.
I mean, I do too, but they're grown now. I went to that stage too.
But I was happy I got all my summer dresses out. And so I transitioned from only wearing black to actually wearing color during the summer. During the winter time and everything, I pretty much only wear black. But when spring and summer come around, I get all my summer dresses out. And
you throw in some gray.
I actually wear all the colors. It was really fun getting all my summer stuff out. And I got all my bathing suits out. Yeah. Now I can't wait to go swimming. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited.
Kelly showed up today for the podcast dressed like me.
I sure did. I got a long black dress
and tied it in a knot.
And I tied it in the knot at the bottom. And I was like, I just feel like I'm being Zeta today.
She showed up, and what am I wearing? A long black sleeveless top tied up on the side.
We're twinning.
She was like, I feel like you all day. I was like, you look like me.
All day I was like, what would Zeta do?
Probably cuss at someone.
I did not do that. I was at work.
What's funny is you look like the one that would do it.
That's true.
It's not you.
No.
Not my fault.
And my last thing is that I haven't gotten my May tattoo yet, and I'm kind of sad about it. I don't know all the details, but my artist is not at the shop that she used to be anymore, so she had to push back our appointment until she gets to a new shop, I guess. And so I know that I could just go and get tattooed by somebody else, and I've gotten tattooed by all kinds of people. It's not like she's the only person, but she's been the person that I've been going to all year. So I'm kind of like, I feel like I would be cheating on her if I go. I know she wouldn't care, obviously, but I've just gotten so comfortable with her.
Yeah.
It's hard to go and have it done by somebody else, because I'm just like, that I get in the zone with her, and it's so easy. She does such a good job. It's just like, I feel like I'm having to go find another boyfriend or something.
Believe it or not, I have something to add to this conversation. Because on Tuesday, when I went to record with Al, I was waiting. Well, first off, I almost overslept. That's a different story. I had a nap. I get there, and I end up meeting, as I'm waiting for a second, a tattoo artist from the shop.
Oh, really?
And they told me where they work, and it's one of the guy ones, and I'm like, he was kind of hitting on the bartender.
Oh, yeah.
And it came up, and then I was like, oh, my friend gets tattooed there, and we start talking about it, and I mentioned who you are, and he was like, yeah, oh, she sees Patience, right? I said, yeah, so you probably won't be seeing her because we're going to figure out where Patience is and where we're going.
Sorry, but sorry, not sorry.
He laughed. He goes, I understand. She's real talented. I was like, she is very talented.
She is.
And so we're just going to find Patience.
Yeah, so I'm being patient, waiting for Patience to tell me where she's going to be. And I'll let you know.
He told me, though, that he knew who you were. Yeah.
I love that.
And then I gave him a sticker and told him to listen to the podcast.
Oh, wonderful. That's exactly what you need to do.
That's what I do. I'm like a walking billboard.
I told you I need to get better at that, but I'm working on it.
I'm pretty good at that. Is that all you're catching up?
I'm all caught up.
Okay, so my catching up will probably run long because it's going to kind of run into the topic of the day.
Yes.
Because I've had a lot going on. I am going to try my hardest to not be sad. So I'm just going to put this out there now. I'm really trying hard to focus on the good things and not on the sad things. Mm-hmm. But I did have to go to a celebration of life this weekend. So anyone that's listened to us very long has heard me talk about my hippie years and living on communes. If you haven't heard it, you can listen to the podcast. You'll hear bits and pieces. But my very first episode of the podcast with Al, which at the time was Let's Be Single Together, but it is still considered the first podcast when you listen to A Third Wheel. We just changed the name, so it's still there. Yeah. The very first one with me, I talk about my life, and I talk about my hippie life. And so it's a good way to catch up. But basically, in the 70s, when I was a child, my mom moved me to a lot of hippie locations. She's like from the country, but she met hippies and became a hippie. And she really was a hippie, like not just, oh, I'm a hippie today.
No, I mean, not just dressing like one.
I mean, we lived on communes with other hippies and developed this. I met some amazing people. And I know some people, when they talk about communes, have very negative stories. It's an easy cult out. Mm-hmm. You could run into sex abuse, you can run into, substance abuse, all kinds of things. I'm sure there were trickles of bad involved. I know of a little bit, particularly with our parents may have been importers. But I have no negative memories for me. Nothing bad ever happened to me. And in fact, it was all very positive. And the children I grew up with were like siblings. And I just grew up with a wonderful support group. Mm-hmm. And particularly my godmother. And so my godmother was my mom's best friend, Molly, and her sister, Shirley. Her best friend, Shirley. So my mom met Molly and Shirley, and they were a little older than my mom and kind of mentored her. But also, they were best friends. Yeah. And they all had an ass load of children. So when my mom met them, she didn't have children yet, but she immediately got pregnant with Zoll and then me. And so during the time they were together, they were all real close. My mom was having her first two children with my dad. And then they all were having their children. They were a few ahead of her. And because they were a little older than her. So they had boys the same age as my older brother Zoll. So that would be Otis and Seth. And then they had girls my age, which would be Jolene and Lily. So it was like they had other kids, but
those fell under y'all's age.
Those fell under our age group. Okay, so the boys, 2 years older than the girls, approximately. And we just were the best of friends and just had the best memories and just did all these amazing things. And we lived in Austin and we didn't all move everywhere together, but my life cycle with my brother was Austin, Baton Rouge, and Natchez, Mississippi. And Baton Rouge was because the majority of these hippies were from Baton Rouge. Majority of them were Creole or Cajun. Cool. And that is where the jambalaya comes in play in my life. And so that's how I know so much about Cajun and Creole life. Like that's how I'm so connected to it. It has nothing to do with my family biologically, but everything to do with the family that helped raise me. Yeah. And so I just really was connected to these people. And I've raised my children with these stories. My brother raised these children with these stories. And we just grew up so differently. My mom went back home, which was very country and rancher, and that's how we come from the country aspect. My dad always kind of stayed a hippie. My dad is still very much a hippie. He ran in the same group, whatever. He became a businessman, but like still always secretly a hippie dad. And but my mom became a country girl completely. She went back to her roots. And so I definitely have two different sides to my life. And this was a big part of it. So my godbrother passes away. He's only 52, which would be my brother's age. He's just amazing. First off, he's stupid hot. The man was always very good looking.
Nice.
Like, he was always the cutest kid you've ever seen. He could be a commercial kid, and then he became a very attractive man. But he was just like my brother Zol. He would do anything. He skateboarded, he BMX'd, he did anything. And everything he did, he was really good at it, just like Zol. And he was charismatic, and I just remember as a kid, I wanted him just to like me. And he did. And he was very kind to me. And Zol and him were best friends with Seth. And they did all these fun things. So, now Zol's passed as of 2 years ago. And Seth is still alive. And Otis just passed. And so we go to this celebration of life. There's about 300 people there. And I invite Zol's oldest daughter, who's never met him or any of these people. And I also take my oldest daughter, who's never met any of them either. And we go, and we get there in time for the celebration of life, and first thing in the morning. But we haven't met anyone yet. Like, I've not introduced it. We got there as it's starting, so like we start off right in the service. Yeah. And it's not a funeral. It is a celebration of life, and it's in the sculpture garden right next to Zilker Park in Austin, which right across the street. And it's practically part of it. And we grew up in Zilker Park. We grew up in Barton Springs. We grew up here. This is literally where we grew up, especially Otis, my godbrother. So, we go there. There's like 300 people, standing room only, and just people got up and told these amazing stories. And I look over at my niece, Maddie, and she's crying. She's never met Otis. And she's like, this sounds just like my dad. It sounds like they're talking about my dad. I was like, they are.
Yeah.
If your dad was a punk rock skating hippie. Like this. Because Otis was, he had Liberty spikes. In like high school in the 80s. And like he lived this, he's just one you don't forget. And he made a huge impact on a lot of people's lives. He was a badass. He was my brother. And so she's listening to this, and everything sounds like Zol if Zol was on a skateboard. And Zol could skate. And Zol wore Vans. Mr. Country Boy wore Vans, and he preferred they were either the checkered or they had like the Hawaiian flower. And he did that because that was his connection to Otis and to Austin.
Oh, that's sweet.
And he learned to skateboard from Otis, and like they learned together, I guess. They were very little. And we ran the roads of Austin in the 70s. We were 4 and 5 years old running the roads of Austin with no parent, and no one was concerned.
Yeah, it was a different age.
And a different time period. And the oldest kid was like 11, and she was in charge of like 6 kids, like 3 to 7. The fuck? And we did all kinds of crazy shit. And we lived, but surprisingly, and had great stories. And so it was really cool. So she got to like hear all these really cool things, and that was cool. And she cried, and I was like, that's cool. Like, she feels connected to her dad. And in the middle of it, because this is like a 3-hour fucking long celebration of life. And in the middle of it, I said, hey, I brought your dad. Because, I carry him in a dime bag. Yeah. For those that don't always listen, I carry my brother's ashes with me most places, particularly a little piece of them in a dime bag because I think it's funny.
It is pretty funny.
And I like to drop them wherever I want to drop them. Yeah. Does he like this? Probably not. Don't die first.
Yeah, got to get used to it.
Yeah, now you're mine. All the shit he did to me, this is payback. But I knew he would want to be at Otis's funeral. Yeah. I knew he would want to be, present. So I brought him, and I said, hey, let's go drop him off in the water here in the service. So we did. So we went over there. We let Zol out, and he got to join Otis in the sculpture garden.
That is so great.
And it was cool. And so we're surrounded by all these people we know. So the whole time the service is going on, I'm looking around, I'm like spying everybody. And I haven't seen some of these people since the 80s. And I'm like, that's so-and-so, that's so-and-so, that's so. I was like, y'all, that whole section over there is a Wikipedia page. You mean fucking famous blues musicians are in that corner right now? I'm like, that's the Sexton Brothers. That's, I'm like Marsha Ball. Like, I'm just naming all these people. They're like, okay. And I'm like, okay, this is so-and-so, and this is so-and-so, and that's their dad, and that's so-and-so, and this is what he did, and this is the story behind this. And so, like, all these stories I've ever told my kids, or that my brother ever told his kids, they are seeing, the oldest two daughters are seeing the real life people.
Yeah.
So then it ends. It ends, and I'm like, hey, come with me. You're going to meet some people. So every 2 feet, it's somebody else, and it's somebody else, and it's somebody else. And I have not seen most of these people since the 80s. And I mean, I'm talking, it's multiple generations. It's their father. There are no mothers. They're all dead, which is really weird. But the fathers are all alive. It's really weird. Not how I would have guessed that was going to go.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, this is so-and-so's dad, or this is so-and-so's dad. And like, if any of y'all listeners are from Austin, there's a really famous like underpass that you take, and it's got this painting of this kid, Ivan, and it's painting Ivan. It said Ivan. It's been there for 30 years, and his parents maintain it. Well, Ivan was a childhood friend of ours.
That's cool.
And I guess I never told, he got hit skateboarding and died. And I never told Zoe that. And I know it's a big deal. I know the mural's a big deal. I know it's famous for Austin. It never occurred to me to tell my kids about it. It's just another childhood friend,
Yeah.
And so Ivan's dad is there. And I see Ivan's dad. I said, I know you. It took me a second to know how I knew him. I'm like, I know you. How do I know you? He goes, I'm Ivan's dad. I was like, you're Ivan's dad. I'm Zeta. He goes, Zoe's sister. I was like, yes. And I was like, good to see you. So sorry about Ivan. Love the mural. I don't know.
Yeah.
He hugged me for 5 minutes.
Aww.
And cried. And so then, I turned to Zoe. She's like, who's that? And I'm like, okay, this is Ivan. And I tell her the story. She goes, from the underpass? Ivan? The picture? The Ivan? The famous? I was like, yes. I didn't know this whole time. You knew that, Ivan? I was like, it never came up. So like the whole thing was that thing. So after the service, we went across the street to Zilker Park because we grew up there, and they had a kickball game because that's what he loved.
Aww.
And we had like a big, there wasn't a barbecue. No one was really grilling, but like a big picnic, I guess, under this big tree. And then people were going into Barton Springs and swimming because that's what we did growing up.
So cool.
And so for those that aren't familiar with Barton Springs, it has 2 parts to it. Okay. So it has a pool you can pay to get in, a paid area. It's got a diving board. It's concreted. It's all lifeguards, all the good stuff. When I was a kid, it was 25 cents, and it was clothing optional in the 70s.
That's what I'm talking about.
Now it's $9 each, and you can still go topless if you want. And there were a few people topless.
Love it.
And then next to it is the free area, which I actually love the free area, but now kind of homeless,
It's a little more sketchy.
Sometimes they mess it up, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But you can kayak there and all that cool stuff. And I've already let Zola out over there. And so what they've decided to do is they're trying to get the diving board at Barton Springs dedicated to Otis and to get a plaque for him there. The city told us no. We're not taking no.
Okay, good.
So we've started.
I didn't figure.
No. So we've started a petition. So I'd really appreciate it if people would come and find it on my Facebook. I have posted it, and we'll post it on I've already posted it on our Facebook, but we'll put it on the Instagram.
Okay, yeah.
Whatever. Find it, sign it, share it. We grew up on this diving board in Barton Springs. Like, this is, particularly Otis. There are hundreds of pictures of him jumping off this damn diving board his entire life. And so we're trying to do that. Anyways, so this whole thing got me thinking. And this is what our topic will be about. And so I'm going to start it like we do a normal topic. We're going to have our thing. But it got me thinking. And that's where we start with our topic of the week, because it really got me thinking about what could have been.
Yeah. Hey, Zeta, you know what time it is?
What time is it, Kelly?
It's time to pop the top
on the topic of the day. So the whole idea of what could have been. it's what really has been popping in my head. And I really was thinking about this as we discussed before the funeral. But the funeral really hit it home. And what it is that when you have a world like mine, where it's real obvious that there is a what could have been, because I lived to such different ends of the spectrum as far as like this hippie life and ranchers. Like I'm raised by real ranchers, like by real country people, not fake, not we're going line dancing. I'm talking get up early, we got to go birth this cow.
Yeah.
Or thunder. You hear the thunder in the mic?
Just so you know, we got a thunderstorm going on.
Or hippies. It was so perfect.
It really was.
The other side of the spectrum was the hippie life that I grew up with. And, it was just so different from each other. And so Otis passing away, and a few weeks before Otis passed away, when we knew he was pretty sick, he passed from Parkinson's. And a few weeks before he was passing, we knew he was really sick, and it hit home. We realized he might not have too much time. And I could tell he was getting sentimental because he was sending me occasional messages, and there was a lot of pictures involved, and like there was other signs. And I'm sure his actual very close family members and such really saw it. And I saw it in my brother before he passed. And you start getting sentimental and seeing these pictures and thinking about things. And all I could think is that Zola and Otis were meant to be friends. And Jolene and I were meant, his sister and I were meant to be friends. But particularly them. They were more alike than Jolene and I were in regards to they had the same personality. And all I can think is if we had stayed in Austin and grown up in Austin and we had never gone back to San Saba and my mom had not married someone from Ellis County and we had moved to Rocket and Red Oak and Waxahachie area, then I would have ended up in Austin with my god sisters, probably just like them. And that is not a bad thing. They are amazing women. But they're very different from me. And most people kind of see me as a hippie or as country. Like, I think most people that know me get it.
Yeah.
But if you don't know me, you see me as country, pretty much, I think. I could be, it depends on the day, I guess. But you know what I mean? Like, I think that's what I'm perceived as in this day and age. But growing up in Red Oak with all these fake country people, most of them weren't really country. They just owned some boots. I was the hippie. I was the alternative girl. I was the hippie. This is before alternative really existed, but I was kind of the odd girl. I like the Black and Depeche Mode or whatever the case is. Mm-hmm. But that's very connected to hippie life.
Yeah.
Because it's alternative and it's different. And it makes sense if you knew that about me. It made sense why I was like that. And that's how I was thought of. But to everybody else in my life, they were like, but you're from the country. You're a country girl. Your sister's country. Your brother's country. Your parents are country. What's wrong with you? And then once you get to know the story, you understand why I'm so different, why there's a yin and a yang to me. And so what this kept making me think is, what would my life have been? Would I have married as young? Mm-hmm. Would I have had these kids? Would I have been as career-oriented when I was and been burned out like I was? What would I have become? Because I am naturally an entertainer and I am naturally an artsy person. I like to do all these artsy things. I was always in theater. I was always trying to do something creative, whether it be a sculpture or whether it be a painting. I wasn't always good at it, but I would try. And I just really I just love the arts. And that's really not as much a country thing, I guess. And I think that I would have ended up more in the arts. And I think I would have ended up very artsy. And I think I would have had a different life than I have now. I have found that about me, but it took me a long time to kind of come full circle. Yeah. It also took a long time to marry my country and hippie roots where I was comfortable, where it fit me does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And so that's where my what would have been. What would I had been had my mom not married Robert, not moved us here? What would I be? And so now when I go this weekend, I stayed at my sister's house. So I have a younger sister, not too much younger, 5-6 years younger than me, that lives there. That's my dad's daughter. Well, my dad, like I said, is the more hippie of the two parents. And his wife, Cindy, my stepmom, was a hippie and adored them both. My dad's still alive, but she's passed. Well, India didn't live that hippie life. She didn't live on communes. She didn't live half the hippie life I lived. She just got the older hippies that had insurance jobs.
Yeah.
I had the hippies in the hippie years. And she lives it now. She became it. She lives in this cool old house in Austin. She's lived in for 20-something years right in the middle of Austin. And her home looks like this badass artsy home in Austin. And she has these cool earrings and she's just natural and just beautiful and simple. And I mean that in a good way. She has a badass job. She went to college, all the good things like that. But she lives that life. And I think that would have been me.
Yeah.
I definitely think it would have been me. So I'm staying in her house. She was actually out of town, so she just let me stay at her house, Zoe and I. Yeah. And
it's nice to have family when you're traveling.
Yes. And all I could think is this is exactly what I would have been because I trained her to be this person as my younger sister. And I just kept thinking, how different would life be?
Yeah.
Had I gone down that road? And how different for my brother would it be?
Yeah.
I mean, he would have been a completely different person. Same badass, just probably not
just a different badass. Yeah.
But even then, when we were living that lifestyle, he would first off, we were naked all the time.
Yeah.
Like we wore diapers and underwear, and that was about it. And we were talking about how we used to make mud pies. Mm-hmm. And we would play in the mud all the time.
Oh yeah.
One of the kids' nickname was Mud Pie. We were always in the mud. I didn't realize Texas why do I have so much mud in my memories? I don't know.
Same, girl.
And Jolene was telling me how years and years and years later, they found a mud pie we had hidden. Mm-hmm. Like years later. And she was like, oh my God, we would eat these. We would eat them.
Yeah.
We were not scared.
Same. It's so funny. We talked about this a little bit today at work because one of my coworkers brought in some plums that they had just picked off of a plum tree, and they were
Did they steal them from neighbors?
No,
I'm kidding.
I don't want to put it past them, but no, it was in a friend's yard, and they were really ripe, and they were about to go bad. So they were like,
get them now.
We need to pick them. So she brought us some into work and passed them out, and she's like, but y'all need to, wash them. We didn't wash them. We just got them off the tree, and one of my coworkers is already biting into it, and she's like, oh, it don't matter. I don't care. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how much fruit I've just eaten right off trees. I was like, plus I've swam in horse troughs. I was like, I ate mud pies. Like I drank right out of the water hose. Like I'm not going to nothing eating plum off a tree before I washed it.
That's the best thing I've done for myself.
I really don't think it's a problem. But that's just totally different.
There's no these days. Pesticides. Yeah. It's not like you got it out of like a orchard where they're pesticiding it.
Yeah, it's just playing right off a tree. Like I don't mind eating it. Yeah. But that's what's like I swam in horse troughs.
I'm really glad you got that childhood because I think you might be the last era of those kinds. I mean, I literally learned to swim in the horse trough.
Yeah, exactly.
Barton Springs in a horse trough.
Same place.
And I just had a friend of mine from childhood say, which house was this? The one with the horse trough we learned to swim in? And I was like, yeah, that's the one.
Yep.
Because actually I posted a picture of Otis and Jolene and Zola and I, and one of my friends from San Saba was like, I recognize that. That's your house in the ranch in San Saba with the horse trough.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, it was. But I had all my Austin friends there. Uh-huh. I mean, this is like the 70s. Anyways, yeah. You got to have a real childhood.
Yeah, I did.
Well, I just think, is there like do you think your life could have gone a different direction?
Yes.
It might be adult related.
I had a thought, and I've thought about this a few times because when I was growing up, my parents and my family was very country. And I say that because my grandfather, he sired horses. And so he had his own, he had, a barn in the back with horses. He raised horses. He had a world champion sire there for a while that he went around and sired different, horses and everything like that. And we showed horses and we I was out there feeding the horses, breaking out the stalls. I even helped break a horse before. I would teach him how to lead on lead ropes. I barrel raced. I grew up super country.
And see, I did all that too. That's what's funny. and how are neither of us?
I know. But the thing is, while I was young, and we even had at my first house that, I remember really that we lived at, we had a barn in the back for the longest time. We had horses in the back. I would go out and, ride bareback and all kinds of stuff. Okay. But then my mom got hurt. She was shoeing a horse and doing some different stuff. She ended up shattered her arm because it, kicked back on her. And so she had a long recovery because of that. And because of that, they finally got out of the horse industry and doing the horses. And so it just kind of trickled off in my life. I was so, horse oriented and doing all the, barrel racing and different kind of stuff like that. And then it just slowly it wasn't part of my life anymore.
Kelly, we've lived the same life.
And so
I told you about my mom's accident on the horse when I stopped riding?
No, I don't think you did.
My mom got thrown in front of me and broke her arm. Broke her hip. Sorry, broke her hip. And it scarred me. Mm-hmm. And it affected the rest of her life and mine. Yeah. It led her down a difficult path. Yeah. And I stopped riding as much. I kept riding, but not as much. Mm-hmm. I stopped barrel racing. I had to take care of my mom, honestly. And then, and I just got out of it. Yeah. And I never really got back into it, but my brother stayed in it. And that's where our divide started on that. Yeah. And that was because my mom got injured. And then when Rick and I got together, I started riding together with Rick, and Rick and I would ride together when we first started dating all the time. And then I hit the age my mom was when she got thrown. And she was a master horse lady. Like, she was raised on horses. So if she can get thrown, I can definitely get thrown.
Yeah, anybody can get thrown.
And so I started having anxiety attacks that if I got thrown and broke my hip, I wouldn't be able to provide for my children because I wasn't married like she was. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't ride anymore. It would give me anxiety attacks. And Rick did not understand. He was like, you rode fine 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. I was like, I can't do it anymore. I can't. If I have an accident, I can't provide for my children. Mm-hmm. And I can't do this anymore. That's so crazy. We both got affected by that.
So I think sometimes about, like, if my mom had never gotten hurt, if they didn't get out of all the horse stuff that we did, would have continued? Would I have done like 4-H in high school? Would I have continued barrel racing? Would I want to continue to like show? Because I really didn't get to be able to get into all the showing, because like my mom and all of her sisters showed horses and my granddad showed horses, mm-hmm. and it was such a big part of their lives, and I got a taste of that, but I never really got into the showing and winning prizes and doing all the stuff. And I wonder if I would have continued down that road, and if I would have be this like country girl wearing
and what kind of men would you end up with? See, that makes a difference.
It really does.
Opens up. Let me tell you, my mom was determined I was marrying a cowboy. She was pissed when I ended up with someone that wasn't a cowboy. When I started dating Rick, it was the happiest day of her life that I finally agreed to date a cowboy. I dated other cowboys, but none seriously. Like, none I was willing to tell her about, because I didn't want to like let her win. So when I finally let her win and let her know about Rick, she was she never met him, but she was so fucking happy.
That's so funny.
You would have thought, like, I think that's when I got put back in the wheel. That was she never even met him. But he was a cowboy.
Finally, you came to your senses.
Yeah. Bless your heart, girl. My mom loved her some cowboys. How many hippies was she with, though? A lot. Same. We're the same bitch. Damn it.
Isn't that funny?
I tried so hard to be different.
You tried so hard, failed. Oh, well. But, that's part of it, man. You never know where you're going to end up. And I think back to, if I had ended up, and I had a dream the other night. That's why it's so funny that we talked about this. I had a dream, and for some reason, my very first boyfriend was in that dream. Oh. And I was like, what the hell? Why am I dreaming about this?
Why are you here? And I know you're 50 pounds heavier.
And that made me think, like, how different my life would have been, because I was so in love with this man and I wanted to have kids with him. Like, this was before I had, was like not going to have kids and stuff like that. I was like, what if I had married him? What if I had had kids with him? Like, I can't even imagine what it'd be like to have to deal with him, And I'm so glad that even though back then I was so mad at my parents for wanting me to get away from him because I was so in love with him. But I'm so glad that did not work out, because I did not need to be with that man.
Right.
And there were so many red flags that I didn't see because I was so young and so in love that I didn't realize that this man does not care for you. You are going to be treated horrible.
Right.
Like, he cheats on you. Like, why would you put up with that? But I didn't want to see all that. I wanted my perfect little, Prince Charming.
Was he a country boy?
No, and yes. I mean, he was born in the country, but he was not a country boy. Like, he wasn't out riding horses and doing like nothing like that.
Might have been incognito like you and I were.
And I probably maybe, but no. And it was just
people as an adult were like, wait a minute, I didn't know you did all this stuff. And then other people would be like, no, I used to go with her. We used to barrel race together. And they'd be like, what? I thought she was like alternative queen. I was. I can be both.
Yeah.
I could be both.
It's not you. It's not a stereotype.
Actually, Brandy and I have had this conversation many times because she was a country girl in high school and I was Miss Alternative. And she was like, I thought you were the coolest. Like, I wanted to be your friend so bad, but I was a country girl. And I was like, and there I was riding horses at the same time you were, but I was wearing Doc Martens.
You had no idea.
I was wearing ropers too, honestly. I'd wear both, but I would not wear ropers in front of people I knew.
Why?
Unless it was like from my cowboy circuit. I don't know, because I had to have Docs. I had to be alternative.
Can't break
It was
that.
like my mystery. I was secretly a cowgirl.
You know, yeah.
Not joking. It's so weird, man. We're so weird when we're young. And then look how I ended up.
I know.
Now it's shocking to people I'm not, which I am, but you know, I'm both. Yeah.
That's true.
Life is so weird.
It really is.
You don't know what, the song by Garth Brooks where he says, thank God for unanswered prayers.
I know. That's exactly what I thought about when you brought this up is that song.
Yeah.
And I really do. There's so many times that I've looked back and I'm like, God, thank you so much. I had no idea what I needed. Yeah. I had no idea what I actually wanted in life, what I needed in life and what would work out for me. I thought I knew. I thought, there's been many times, like with my ex-husband, I thought I knew.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy that didn't work out.
Sometimes you just don't know what you don't know.
I'm so happy that I didn't end up having a kid because that would have changed my entire life. That would have changed the course of everything. And I wouldn't have found a man that is so amazing now, and I'm so happy that it didn't work out.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know that I'd be unhappy had I ended up the other route.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Honestly, but I've had a difficult adulthood.
Yeah.
Honestly, I had 15 years of hell. Mm-hmm. Like being a single parent is no joke. And especially if you don't have support. Like some people's single parent version is not the same.
Yeah.
I was on my own. Like there was no help. And in any way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. And I survived it and it's all good, whatever. But things could have been different. I can tell you right now, if I was a single parent in Austin with those people, they would have helped me.
Yeah.
Honestly, it would have been different. Mm-hmm. I would have been a single parent, definitely, because every damn one of them has had multiple husbands. Not the ones my age. Actually, the ones my age, not so bad. Well, a few of them, but it's equal. It could go either way.
Yeah.
Whereas our parents all had multiple ones, I was really trying to put shit together. Who was the brothers and sisters and cousins this weekend? Because I didn't realize till a few years ago that some of these people were related that I didn't know were related, and they had the same last name. And I was like, wait, do they share a father or an uncle? What the fuck? Who is who? Who is your sister?
I need answers.
Yes. And Otis was one of them where I was like, wait a minute. Who's a sister and a cousin? Like, I knew who his mom's kids were, but I wasn't real sure about the dad's. There's a few extra out there. Like your best friend's sister might also be your sister. And they're the same age.
Right.
Yeah. Love, free love, hippies.
Yeah, right. No shame.
Like we truly live the hippie lifestyle. Yeah. The stories that they were telling this weekend are a good example of that because like I have, again, what would have happened? What could have happened in your life? And so they would come up and just kind of, you get a refresher course on what they've been through in their life. Mm-hmm. And I was like, damn, if I ended up down the road they were, I could have ended up in major magazines as a model because we've got some major models there. Mm-hmm. I could have ended up married to a blues singer. I could have ended up married to a famous rock and roll singer because one of them did that. I could have ended up with a loser that does nothing for a living. Because one of them's husbands, that's what he did.
The possibilities are endless here.
I could have ended up with one that makes his own custom glasswork. And by that, I mean pipes and bongs. And I'm not judging.
Takes all kinds.
It could have been
takes all kinds.
Endless possibilities.
I know, right? It makes me think about the alternate universes or like how there all of these different timelines are stacked on each other, and every decision that you make there's still an alternate universe so that you made the other decision and that's playing out I've read into that and there's some crazy stuff. Well, it's a rabbit hole for sure.
Honestly, Otis and Zoe have such a similar story. Like marriage, children, similar stories. Children not as much, but kind of. But such a similar story. It is like they lived parallel universes.
Yeah.
I really feel like Like, I felt like I was at my brother's funeral this weekend.
That's crazy.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
And his sisters felt the same way. They got it, you know, and I know they got it, you know. And I think anyone could live different lives. And so, like, we always talk about the difference of, you know, politics is a good example. A lot of people would have different politics if they had just lived a different life.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's about what you've learned.
Yeah. And what you've experienced.
What you've
witnessed and everything.
And not everybody has the blessing to live two different lifestyles and to have, I think that's why I'm so yin and yang in my politics, why you know, no one understands where I'm coming from. That's because I'm coming from all over the place.
I'm all over the place.
I've lived it all. Yeah. I've been rich, I've been poor. You know, I've been it all. As an adult and as a child, and I've struggled, and I've had everything handed to me, and it gives you different perspectives.
Yeah,
you have a completely different perspective when you've lived both lifestyles.
Yeah,
I mean, that's where I've come from on it anyways. But, you know, I ask people to, you know, when you're unhappy, if you're in an unhappy situation, I think it's a good time to ask yourself how different could your life been, and can you still change it?
Yeah.
It takes one thing to change it.
That's what I like to think about. It's not all about like looking back of what could have been, but looking forward to what can be.
Yeah.
Because if my life can be so different right now than all of the possibilities would have, how it could have come out, there's still so much time for me to change my trajectory and where I'm going.
Yep.
So if you are unhappy, think about the changes, even the small changes that you can make right now that can make such a drastic change for you in the future. And it's never too late. If you woke up this morning, you've still got time.
Yeah.
So think about that. How much more time do you want to spend unhappy? How much more time do you want to spend unhealthy? How much more time do you want to spend estranged from somebody? How much more time do you want to spend like not living your best life?
Yeah.
And you do not have to settle, because you still have time to make any kind of changes that you want. You just got to do it.
Yeah. A good example of that is when I was your age now, so 15 years ago, I started my whole life over. I did a complete 360. I have changed everything about my life since I was your age. And you're a grown-ass woman.
Sure am.
Like, you're established, you know yourself, you're comfortable with yourself, you're body positive. You've done all the work that some women don't hit by 50.
Yeah.
And you've done all the work. And I was just reinventing myself at your age. And I mean, I feel pretty good where I am right now.
That's good.
Yeah. So you're way ahead of the curve.
Thanks. I might just do a 360 too.
Are you the next
Back
thing?
on my bullshit.
Now I got 5 kids. Second divorce.
Oh, I had a girl today that was saying something like about how, you know, I needed a kid. She's like, I could see you with the baby. I was like, nope, I can't.
I'm giving it to you.
No, ma'am.
Yeah, you want to adopt? No kidding, man. I tell my kids I don't need a grandkid. I've raised so many kids. I don't need you. You don't have to do this for me.
Yeah, don't feel obligated.
A kid, you can. And I will have fun with that kid like an hour every Saturday. But I'm done raising kids.
Yeah, no thank you.
No, thank you. No, I don't think how you changed my life and end up in an alternative universe. I do not want to be raising any more children.
Right. We'll stay in this universe.
I feel like
please.
no matter what universe I'm in that universe. The one that says I don't want to raise any more children.
You're tapped out.
Yeah, I'm tapped out. I've done enough.
I love it.
Well, all right. Well, good. I'm glad that we're ending on a good note, because what could be?
Yeah.
What could you change?
Just keep moving forward. All right. So this is going to be our last week for our mental health awareness, because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So I want to go ahead and do our winners that are going to win the little mental health awareness sticker packs. I have 4 sticker packs now. So we're going to have 4 winners. And our first winner is Sarah Hagman.
Yay!
Congratulations, Sarah.
We love Sarah. We really do love Sarah, because I actually know Sarah.
We do love her.
Yeah.
So, and everybody, you'll be getting, I'll message you if I don't already have your stuff saved from a previous time when we sent out our cards. I will get in touch with you to get where you'd like it sent to. Our next winner is Teresa, and I don't have a last name, but your @ on Instagram is FCSSA Speech. So Teresa, you are number 2 winner.
Y'all watch for your messages, because I think when you're not friends, you have to look a little harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And our third winner is...
I mean, we might be friends. I don't know, but you know.
Holly Burgess.
Hey, Holly. OG in the house.
Oh, Holly. Go, Holly. And our last winner for the Mental Health Awareness Pack is Allie Almendarez.
Go, Allie.
Woo-hoo.
Y'all just throw these stickers at everyone that feels like you feel like needs a Prozac. Just
Right.
throw them a sticker.
Here you go. You look like you need this
If you
today.
see someone like throwing a fit, just stick it on the back of their shirt and don't tell them so other people won't. It's like a warning. I'm just saying.
That's so
I'm just
funny.
kidding.
Yeah, so with our mental health awareness, what we want to just remind everybody is that, everybody struggles at some point, whether it is mental health related or not. But more people than you think have some kind of mental health issue that they're dealing with. And it can be very difficult, especially when you feel that it is something that is that you can't talk about, or you feel that people are going to view you differently or something along those lines.
Well, I mean, there's such a stigma. I think it's gotten better.
It definitely has.
But back in the day.
Yeah, I love that we have gotten this movement to where people are becoming more aware of mental health and how it affects your life and how it affects your relationships. And so I really just want to encourage everybody to check on the people that you know are struggling, or even if you just have an inkling, reach out, let them know that you're there for them, that you'll support them and love them through it, because that really is one of the biggest things, is having a support group, because some people just don't know who they could talk to.
I think another thing to add with that is that we need to know when to listen to our own support group.
Yes.
So if you struggle with your own mental health issues and your support group is telling you we're worried, we see an issue, what's going on, then you probably need to trust them.
Yeah.
And that maybe you're not seeing something they're seeing, because when you're in the middle of something, you don't always realize you're in the middle of it.
It's very true.
Sometimes you just need someone to be like, hey, what's up? And then maybe check yourself a little bit and see what's going on. Do I need to see a doctor? Do I need to just check my attitude? It could be anything.
Yeah.
But I think that oftentimes we build this amazing group of people around us and then we don't listen to them.
That's true. It can happen.
So this message is to not just people that need to help people, but people that need help.
Yes.
Let people help you.
Yes.
Let me help you.
You are worth it. You're worth the help. You're worth the time. So put that time and that love into yourself and into those around you.
Yeah. And I think sometimes when people have mental health issues, they truly don't, and most times I think they truly don't know how severe what they're going through is. Because mental health does not mean depression.
No.
There's so many different things.
There are.
Yeah,
and they look different on every single person as well. Depression's not going to look the same on everybody. Anxiety's not going to look the same. ADHD, ADD is not going to look the same. Any kind of dissociative disorder is not going to look the same. It's a spectrum with everything.
Yeah.
So it really takes time to learn what it is that you yourself are going through.
Right.
You can be, in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and just come to the realization oh, I'm struggling with this.
Right.
I need to figure it out.
And your hormones change, so that can change things. So maybe you've never dealt with it before. I think I said this a few podcasts ago, and I could be wrong. I might have just told you this. I don't know. But I had a bit of an epiphany with my sister because we were talking about my relationship with my brother, and I was closer to my brother than my sister was, because it's not because we're half siblings, because we were raised together. But it's because she existed after us.
Yeah.
So him and I went through things she didn't go through. And the whole hippie era of my life, she was not a part of. And so she missed that whole era. And with missing an era of someone's life, you miss the trauma related to it too. And so you miss the good things, because there were good things, but she also missed some of the trauma. And so I was talking about something about Zola or whatever, and she was like, about how close we were. She was like, you do realize she's a therapist, by the way. That's trauma bonded. Y'all were trauma bonded.
Yeah.
That's why y'all were connected like you were.
Yeah.
Because you're trauma bonded. And I was like, what? Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
You're right. As soon as she said it, I was like, well, it's a little late now. He's dead. I can't undo it. We're trauma bonded.
Trauma bond for life.
For life and death.
Yep.
And that's why the man is carried around in a dime bag in my purse.
It all makes sense.
Yeah. What are you going to do? I just want to throw that out there, because I am 49 and I had that epiphany, seriously, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
She just said that to me and I was like, ah, shit.
Well, you never stop learning. That's
Damn
a good
it.
thing.
I've got trauma bond.
Well,
I mean,
At least you know it now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. She's right. We went through some shit, man. Yeah. But we also went through some great things. So we're looking at the positive.
Yeah, we tried. We're just trying to be positive. So remember that.
And, and the other thing with help is making sure people know that you're a safe person, I think is a big part of it. You don't have to save the world. It's a lot to ask other people to save people.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's too much to let people know you're a safe person.
Or that you can lead them to a safe person. I understand not feeling like you are equipped or feeling like you can't take on what people are about to dish out to you. I understand that takes a lot out of a person to be unloaded on. So maybe you're not in the position to where that you feel you can take that on, and that is okay. That is understanding your mental health and protecting your mental health. Yeah. But if you have somebody who is looking for a lifeline, try to at least guide them to somebody else that can throw out a buoy and reel them into their ship. So
yeah, and you're exactly right. And I mean, I think that whoever's helping you has to have some mental stability of their own.
Yeah.
To really see things crystal clear.
Yes.
So get help or get help someone that can get you help.
Amen.
Ain't no shame in that game. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for joining us. Maybe come back next week and bring a friend.
Yeah. And remember, there's always 3 sides to every story.
2 sides and the truth.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.